to it later on. All right, so we are recording. If you are online, please, you can use the chat box if you need to communicate with me. And I might need to toggle back and forth for just a second. But today's session is maximizing productivity in graduate school. And this is a partnership that we have with Grad Student Life. A few years ago, they came to us and said, we want to have a workshop series specific to graduate students. So in Learning Services, we help everybody improve their study strategies. And we have workshops, and we have undergraduate, graduate, faculty and staff who come to those regular workshops. But this series is exclusive to grad students. We also do individual academic coaching. So we'll meet with students one-on-one to talk with you about any strategies that you might need help with. So a moment before I turned on the camera, we were talking about some things that folks can use to help with reading, using something like Read and Write Gold or using Adobe Reader, Read Out Loud software. So that's kind of tips that you can get in an individual one-on-one session. If you wanted to schedule a session online or in person with us, you would just call our office and the front desk staff would be happy to schedule you. Just let them know you want an academic coaching appointment and you are a graduate student. I have learning specialists, so it's myself and another person, 2 grad assistants, and then a team of peer academic coaches. This year, all the coaches are undergraduates, and you really should be meeting with either a grad assistant or a learning specialist because the undergrads just don't have that experience yet. So just call us, say you're a grad student, you want to meet with a grad or a learning specialist, and we're happy to meet with you and give you some help this semester. All right, so today's topic, it's like Inception, where I've got like a screen inside of a screen here. Today's session is how to study for online courses. We are increasing the number of people who are taking classes online, exclusively online. A lot of students are having classes both in person and online. And when I was a graduate student, I actually had hybrid classes where the same class would meet every other week face-to-face, and then the other weeks it would meet online. So there's a lot of different iterations, and we were finding that a lot of folks were struggling with how do I study for this kind of a class because there's not the same accountability as you do with a face-to-face kind of a class. So today I want to talk with you guys a little bit about some of the benefits and challenges of taking online courses, some of the assignments and tasks that are required, the importance of understanding how much time is actually needed. Folks think it's because it's online, it's going to be easy and it's going to be quick, and that is really not true. I'll give you some general strategies. We'll talk about making connections and a couple strategies for monitoring your progress in your online class. My PowerPoint just froze, so give me 1 second. Give it a second to catch up with me. All right, so if you're online, in the chat box, if you could just tell us your name and your major and a reason why you're taking an online class. So there's a little carrot, not a carrot, like a little arrow on the right-hand side of the screen that you pull open and it should have that chat feature. So if you could respond in the chat box, and in person, we'll have you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves. So let's start with you.
My name is Mariam, and my major is education psychology. And actually, I'm here into I take some English classes and some major classes.
Reason for taking an online class?
I don't have any online class.
Actually, not yet. Okay.
Anything. Maybe the next semester I will do it.
Okay.
My name is Ming Zi Liao. My major is bioinformatics. I want to know what about the online course.
Okay. All right. Shema, I see that you're typing, so. Okay, so you're in bioinformatics and you're thinking to do it next semester, and I saw a pop-up and then it just went away. Did you guys see what it said?
Mhm.
What did it say? Or is it just somebody else joining? Hello? We heard you for a second. Okay, well, I'm gonna keep going. Oh, look, it's still on the same screen. There we go. I have a feeling there's a little bit of technical issues. So what are some of the reasons why you're taking an online class? And you guys said in the future you're thinking about it. Some of the benefits that people cite about why they're taking an online class are that they can study at a time that suits them. So you're not restricted by a specific class meeting time. Most online classes are asynchronous, meaning that you can work on it whenever you want, for the most part, and you don't have to like drive to campus. So that's another thing that's on here is reduce the travel costs and travel time. And the person can work around their work schedule or their family schedule or other obligations that they have and their commitments. And that they can work at a pace that suits them. They don't have, don't have to try to keep up with a lecturer who speaks really, really fast. They can work at their own pace in learning the information. So what do you think might be the biggest challenge that you're facing? And again, people online, you can use the chat box to respond. But what do you think might be the biggest challenge you might face in an online kind of course environment?
I think it will be the time management.
The time management portion? How about for you?
You mean the online course, the challenge?
Yeah, so what might be hard about taking a class online instead of in person?
Maybe you cannot to interact with the teacher.
Yeah, so maybe it's a little bit harder to interact with the professor. So a lot of the challenges that folks cite as being difficult are, one is keeping themselves motivated. It's like, well, I'll work on that class when I feel like it, and then you like never feel like it. So that can be an issue. The other is that they don't have the same kind of accountability. So if you have a class that meets face-to-face each week, you know that the professor is going to see you, that they know that you're participating in class, that you have a set time that you need to be in class, and really clear deadlines on getting tasks done. So the accountability isn't quite the same. There's still a timeline in an online class. Most are not completely open-ended. So even if you don't have like a specific meeting time, there's still deadlines that you have to meet. And folks aren't always aware of that. Time management, as was mentioned, motivating yourself, and then making sure that there's sufficient time. And we're going to talk about how much time is actually needed for online classes. Technical skills. So if you are really having a hard time with the computer, or maybe you're okay with the computer, but using something like today I'm using Blackboard Collaborate, if you have a hard time navigating a browser or utilizing these kinds of services, or how to set up your microphone or your webcam, those technical skills can get in the way. Or even maybe your skills are okay, but your equipment isn't. I've got a student and I'm trying to work with him and his Chromebook, like half the keys on the keypad don't work. Well, that's really hard when you're trying to pull up his schedule and his syllabi and you can't use half of the keys on his keyboard. And then last is being proactive. You don't see the professor face to face. It's a little harder to ask for help. So you have to kind of go out of your way, if you will, to make sure you reach out to the professor or other resources to ask for assistance. Okay, so there are some things that folks tend to do in online classes that can really make you fall behind. And one is that they will start the class late, right? So we started classes last week of August, whatever that date was. We start class 26th or something of August.
Yeah.
So I had a student meeting with 2 days ago, and she has not started any of her assignments yet for her online class. We are a month into school, and she has already missed the first 4 weeks of material. Because she feels like it's self-paced and she can do it whenever she wants, but she really can't. There are deadlines that you have to get started on right away. The other piece the other mistake that she's made is that she has waited for her textbooks. So she didn't order her textbooks until the second week of school, and now it hasn't come yet. So she's like, I can't do any of my assignments until I have my books. And I'm like, no, we're gonna get your assignments done. There's things you can do without your book. And so actually we acquired her book. That was the whole point of our session, was to work on because she was having technical issues and then skill set issues, and so we got that all downloaded, so she's going to get caught up. Something else that professors will expect in an online class is that they want you to log in either for a certain amount of time, a certain length of time, like be online for 2 hours a week, or more often, frequency. You have to log in at least 3 times during the week. So it's not something you can just do once a week and be done with it. You may need to like log in and then come back the next day, because they'll often have you do like a blog post, and then that'll be due like on a Monday, and then Wednesday you have to respond to 2 or 3 other people's blog posts so to enhance some conversation. The other is not asking for feedback, like not checking grades, not asking for the professor to, like, how can I do better on this? And then the last one is that because people have put it off and they started class late, getting to the end of the semester and asking if they can have an incomplete. So an incomplete is a academic action that a student can request at the end of the semester. And the policy is that you only can get an incomplete if you've been doing really, really well all semester and then something weird happened at the end. Like 2 weeks before finals week, you had a car accident and you broke your arm and now you can't write. That is an appropriate time to ask for an incomplete. You've done all the work, you just need a little time to recover to take the final exam or do the final paper. It's not to be used if you've been struggling all semester and you've been putting off assignments. It's a different thing. So if you're not doing well at the end, you're not really supposed to ask for it. Some professors will give them anyways, okay? But really try to wrap up the class at the end of the semester, because the incomplete will be calculated as an F, which we cannot have Fs in grad school. It's not a good thing to have an F in graduate school. It's going to be calculated as an F in your grade point average, and until that grade is resolved. So then that means you have that class that's left over from the previous semester, and then you're starting your spring classes. And so that's even more of a workload. Did you guys have any questions about these? Did you have any questions?
Not logging for minimum amount of time.
Yeah, so the professor might say, I want you to be online 3 hours a week for my class. And they can look on Blackboard and see how long. Yeah, I can see like today I'll be able to see these folks and how long they were logged in. Especially if you're in a class, they can see what you clicked on, what you looked at. what you did, what you didn't do. Yeah. Yeah, so there's accountability. There's some accountability there. All right, so if you are online, there's a link that you can do an online course workload estimator. I also sent one via email shortly before this session, but I've got one for you guys. And that is for you to estimate how much time you think you would need to spend on each of these activities, okay, in an average week. So you can use your current semester and think about how much time, how many hours a week for reading, how much time for journal article reading, so go to the library and look things up. If you do an online class, a lot of times instead of having face-to-face class, like what we're having now, the professor will pre-record a video with the lecture materials on it and post that online for students to review. You might have to do a journal or a blog post, time to study for exams, time to take the exam online, group projects, maybe research papers, there might be PowerPoints that you have to review. Yeah, so try to estimate how much time you think each of these might take. And if you don't think you would have that particular thing, then just skip it. You don't have to put something there. So I'll give folks a few minutes to work on that, to estimate how much time, so online is, how much time would you think it's going to take in a week to read, how much time to write, how much time to work on assignments, how much time to prepare for and actually take the exams.
Hi.
You here for online course strategy?
Yeah. I think I met you last time too, right?
Yeah, if you when you get a chance to sign
Sorry,
in.
I'm late.
No worries.
Where am I? Why am I this way? Yeah, I think I registered once.
Not a problem. Yeah, come over here.
Give a space for everyone.
So what we're doing is a time estimate exercise on how much time folks would think that these activities would take for an online class. Are you taking an online class this semester?
I am trying to take it next semester, but it's always been a fear for me.
Oh, okay.
So it's like if I at least, get the information, I'll be comfortable enough because I'm a mother of two.
Okay.
And it would be very convenient if I adjust to the lifestyle and do that. It's just that I'm old school and I graduated many years ago when any of this happened. So it's like, okay, you know what?
It's a cookie top.
Yeah, it's not moving. But
Oh, sorry about that.
no, it's okay. I have a pen though. So it's like I'll benefit from this course, definitely.
I did this one day and I shot the spring from a pen across the room. I don't know why it's stuck.
Do I put this in what I think?
Yeah. How much time do you think? Oh, and just so you know, we're virtual, we're online right now,
Okay.
and I'm recording today's session.
Oh,
So you can go back and watch it later.
okay.
Don't want somebody to be surprised.
So some of them I haven't had one yet, but I'll just put two anyway.
And you probably aren't going to have all of these things for every class.
No.
It's just, like I was saying, sometimes professors will have video recorded lectures.
Okay.
They'll have discussion board posts that you need to do.
Yeah, a lot of actually my classes video recorded lectures, even though I'm not online. So I'm just hasn't been the. That's why I was like, if I'm doing that, then why can't I start taking online classes? 'Cause-
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah.
You just don't necessarily meet face to face.
Exactly.
So I think the big thing for this is that folks think that it's going to be a lot less time, and the reality is the course is designed to take just as much time as an in-person face-to-face class. So a 3-credit class that would take place on campus means that you meet about 3 hours a week. And then your professor expects you to be spending about 6 hours outside of class, reading, studying, doing research, working on assignments, working on your blog posts. So for an online class, that means you need to have at least, if not more, at least 9 hours a week. So like 3 hours a week to attend class virtually, or you would go on and watch the video lectures or review the PowerPoints the professor has posted, whatever the class materials are. And then another 6 hours to do your reading, your blog posts, your work on your research paper. Some classes are going to be a lot more. I know statistics took me a lot more than just 6 hours outside of class. So you have to adjust. It depends on your knowledge level, but it's going to take a little bit more time than, yeah, it's not easier and it's not a shorter amount of time just because it's online. All right, skip that slide. All right, then the other thing we want to ask is, are online classes right for you? Okay, so again, I sent this as an attachment on the email. So if you got that, you can open it up online and take that. Here we're going to do it in person. Worksheets. Following checklist may prove helpful in establishing success when taking online classes. If you want to improve your success, you may want to choose a self-directed improvement pathway. So for each item, check and see if you have that. So I am. If it's true for you, check that off. Refresh.
We are doing a lot of these already, even though we come in person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, yeah, like we have a discussion board and we do have a lot of our lectures online. Even though we come to class, I still have to refer to them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because they're very supplemental in helping me. So that's why I feel like, oh my God, we
Oh,
do a lot of
you're doing pretty well. How about for you?
Yes, we are the same actually. We have Blackboard and discussion boards, and we did most of our assignments there.
Good. How about for you with the checklist? Is there any area that you need to work on?
Sorry.
So for the checklist,
Yes.
did you check everything off, or is there something you didn't put a check mark on?
No, all.
All of them. So even though you guys have all expressed some concern or nervousness about taking an online class, you realize you're actually already doing a lot of these things. The main difference would be that you wouldn't be going to class and physically being there face to face with the instructor. So you're probably pretty far along, better along than you realize maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so with online classes, you want to make sure that you participate in the learning process. You have to take a lot of responsibility for your own learning because the professor is not going to be like reminding. Some professors are really good and they'll put the schedule on Blackboard for you and they'll send you reminders, don't forget to turn this in. But you can't assume that's going to happen. You really have to take control of your own learning and make a plan for yourself. And that means making a plan and working throughout the week instead of working just, like I said, one day. Sometimes you have to log in multiple times during the week in an online class. So you want to account for that. I recommend that you set aside specific time to take the class. It can be really easy to say, I'll do this when I feel like it. I'll do this when I have time. And then you find out, oops, I don't have time. All right, so you want to put aside, like, here's the days, maybe twice a week, I'm going to go online, I'm going to work on this class, maybe 3 times a week, but definitely schedule it and protect it as if you were going to class. So if you wouldn't say, like, yeah, I can go to dinner because you're going to, you would say, no, I have to go to class. You need to do the same for an online class. You want to go hang out, you want to go do this, can the kids come over for a play date? No, I'm going to class. Nobody has to know that it's online. They don't need to know that information, but it's good to have boundaries around things. Just because you're online does not mean that you're alone. It kind of can seem like it. It can be a little bit isolating, but try to make connections. Reach out to your professor the first week of school with an email and introduce yourself and say what you hope to get out of the class. That will give them a sense of where you're at. And if you're interested in their research, you want to share that information with them and say, like, oh, I'm really into X, Y, and Z, and I hope to get an internship in that area. That is how you do networking. And whenever students see stuff that they're interested in, if it comes up later, I'm like, oh yeah, Johnny said that he really wants to be in, recreation management and wants to own his own, rec pool. And now there's a class on management of aquatic centers. I'm going to send Johnny that class, which I actually have done. So if you share with your professors your interests, we remember that I'm not a professor, but when you share that with people at the university, we remember that and we try to connect you with it. The other thing you can do to make connections is to reach out to your classmates. And on Blackboard, under the Tools feature, there's one that says Send Email. You can send an email to your professor through that. You can send an email to, like, the TA if there's one. But you can also email your entire class and be like, hey, does anybody want to get together to study? Or, hey, did anybody pick up on this? Or I'm having trouble with this part of this assignment. Or I can't get this thing on Blackboard to work. Is Blackboard down? Which, if you're emailing them through Blackboard, it's not down. But, you get the idea. So you don't feel like you can't ask somebody for some assistance. You can, it's just a little bit different. Be open-minded. sometimes you'll be exposed to information you're like, I'm not quite sure about that. But try to be open-minded and share your experiences and ask questions. Ask questions of each other, ask questions of the professor, ask for clarification about assignments. It is really hard as an instructor to write an assignment because it sounds like it's really clear and you think it's clear because you wrote it. And we don't always see that we made a mistake and or we're using specialized terminology and we assume everybody knows what we're talking about. If you don't know what the professor's talking about, ask them. Reach out to them. You can also see if people are available via phone or go visit them during office hours. They might have in-person or I met with one of my professors through Skype. So that was how she did her office hours. She had Skype hours and you would just join her online. All right, so first day of class, you want to log into your course, even if it's like, like we have Tuesday, Thursday classes, and so like you don't go to your Tuesday class on Monday. For an online class, whatever the first day of the semester is, you should log on to your class that very, very first day. I like to download the syllabus because if you don't and you need something, that's always when they're doing like service to Blackboard and you can't get on, or you can't get online, or you're having trouble with your Wi-Fi at home or in the coffee shop or wherever you're at. So download a copy of the syllabus and save it to your computer and take a look at it, read it over. How are you going to be evaluated? How many exams do you have, or papers, or projects? What's the general timeline? Do you have all the materials for the class? Like, do you have your book? Do you have all of access to the articles? They might say you need this certain kind of software. You need, some kind of statistics software, or you need MATLAB, or whatever. There's all different kinds of, I forget what the stats software is called here at Mason, and different departments use different kinds of stat software. Make sure you have all of that. Like I said, email the instructor to introduce yourself and say who you are, what your interests are, what you want to get out of the class. Let them know if there's any particular research interests you have. And then identify a place, not your bedroom, where you're going to work or attend class. Why not your bedroom? Distracted in what way?
You kind of want to set the environment so that you stay focused.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It matters.
Yeah, it matters. So in your room, maybe you have a TV, maybe you have your bed, maybe you have your kids, right? So we want to have a place where we're going to be in the mindset, I'm here to do work. And at home, that might be the kitchen table, or it might be an office. Maybe you have an office in your own apartment or your own home. But someplace where you're in that mindset, I'm here to do work. Okay. And then I recommend, if you do nothing else, make a monthly calendar of assignments due for the class. So if you just have a list and you look at the syllabus, list. Oh, 3 exams and a paper. Easy. And then you actually try and do that, you realize stuff sneaks up on you. So a list, you don't see the passage of time, whereas on a monthly calendar, you will see, oh, I have this exam and a paper, and I'm doing a presentation for my other grad class, whether it's online or not. You should put all of your big due dates, not all your reading assignments, not like every day you have to post something, a sentence or two. Don't put that on there. These are big, hairy deadlines. Okay, exams, papers, presentations, big stuff. It'll help you and plan the whole semester. If a professor changes a due date, do they ever move that due date up or do they move that due date back?
It could be both in our case. The class I'm having.
In your class?
If she doesn't cover the material, she usually will take out the initial plan. If she covered it, then with the assignments.
Yeah, they rarely will move an assignment up. Most professors see their syllabus as a contract with you, and so what they'll do is they'll move something back. They'll say, oh, I'm going to give you an extra week before they take that exam. Or I'm going to give you an extra few days for that paper. It's okay if you get something done early.
Yeah, they give you more time.
They give you more time. Yeah, they try to give you more time, not less.
Not less, yeah.
So it's okay if it's on your schedule and it gets moved back and you get it done early. That's actually really to your benefit if that happens. The other thing is to keep organized. How are you going to organize the material for this class? I'm really bad about remembering to like save the assignments and things like that. And then I leave a class, I'm like, oh yeah, I wish I had that worksheet that I did with that one class, or I wish I had the PowerPoint slides. So I like to make a digital folder on my computer for the class, and in there I put the syllabus, I download all the PowerPoint slides if they're available, I download the assignment instructions, and I also keep in that folder any work that I'm going to upload, okay? So even though on Blackboard there's like a journal feature and you can type directly in the journal feature, I type it in Word and copy and paste it to Blackboard, because it has happened more than once that it didn't go up, it didn't get posted, and then I have to retype that entire thing and try to remember what was my discussion board post about, what did I say in it. So I'll save it in Word, copy and paste it into there, and then I have it. That's the other thing, it doesn't disappear when the class ends. I still have all the materials I've done, rather than just putting on Blackboard and now the end of the semester, boom, all that stuff is gone. All that work that I've done is gone. I'm also old school. We were talking about being old school in here, where I do actually tend to print out my syllabus and some of my stuff and put them into a bind. And my, I'll be honest, and my PowerPoint slides. There's lots of binders in my office that are entire classes with PowerPoint slides and syllabi.
Yeah.
And I actually do go back and look at them again. And it's easier for me to navigate flipping through multiple hard copies of things than flipping through things on my computer back and forth. Like, here's the assignment, here's the syllabus, here's I've got Blackboard open, I've got this open, it's just easier for me to have hard copies of some things and then just use my computer for something else.
Yeah.
Okay? But have some kind of a system to organize everything.
Also, I guess to focus on what works sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
as an individual.
Yeah, whatever works for you, just make sure you have a plan and that you have a system in place. All right, which brings me to time management. Time management is one of the biggest challenges people have in general with graduate school, because we've got, you know, your schoolwork, and then a lot of folks are working. Folks have family obligations, either caring for children or caring for parents, sometimes caring for both, right? We're the sandwich generation where we've got obligations for both. And it's a lot to keep track of. So even though there's a lot of flexibility in the course, it is probably not self-paced. There's things that you need to get done every week to keep up with the class. And class timing, like I said, is not the same as study time. So I do recommend folks use a time budget sheet. And of course, I don't have a weekly time budget sheet with me. I have a daily prep schedule. It's just a grid where you write out what time you're in class, what time you have work, any obligations you have. Now, most people, what kind of calendar do you use? Do you use calendar on your phone, or do you use like a paper planner?
Computer.
Use your computer. How about for you?
On my phone.
Okay.
Google Apps.
Yeah, so put it on your calendar on your phone, your actual class times, if you have a job, if you have other obligations. In addition to the things that you have to do, you should put things you want to do. So if you want to go to yoga twice a week, put it on your schedule. It's too easy for it to just be like, I'll do it when I have time. And then you realize you don't ever have time. Your goals should go on your schedule. If you want to spend time with your significant other, you want to have date night, great. Block out Friday or Saturday nights, and that time is not available for studying or schoolwork. It's time that you spend with your significant other, okay? For my grandmother, we had Sunday supper. And so it's like Sunday evenings, we would go to grandma's house, and that was just what we did. That family time was important. So put it on your schedule. Things will fit around it. Okay, things will fit around it. Now, if you were taking just one online class, there's a lot of things that need to get done. And so I've got a sample of kind of how the routine could go for a class. This isn't going to be true for every single class, but this is an example. So on Monday, I would start doing the readings for that week and look at any multimedia. Maybe the professor posts up a podcast that I need to listen to before class. And then Tuesday, I'm going to continue reading. So I don't have to read everything in one sitting. It's a lot of reading in graduate school. So I'm going to break it up into a couple of different sessions. Wednesday, I'm going to take the information from the readings I did and post to the discussion forum and maybe start an assignment. Maybe we have an assignment that we need to do. On Thursday, I'm going to respond to other people's discussion posts. Usually I have to do 2 or 3. And then maybe I'm going to submit one of my assignments. Friday, I'll turn in anything that's due for that week. Saturday, I'm going to start looking at the review packet if that's available, or sometimes that's when the professor posts the assignments for the following week. I'm going to take a look at that. And then Sunday, I'll check over any work for the week. And then it starts all over again. So a little bit every day instead of trying to like sit down for 8 hours in one day and do an entire class. You're going to get overloaded. This really doesn't take that much time. It would mean an hour and a half maybe a day to work on the class instead of trying to do 9 to 10 hours in one day. Okay? Your brain likes little bits of information. It doesn't like for you to try and like just keep going and going. You actually can get neural overload from that. All right, and then I was saying to make sure you get some connections, right? So get to know your professor, connect with other students in the class, and you'd be surprised, people are willing to come meet on campus and get together and work on a project together. More and more online classes do have group work involved, and that could mean you meet face-to-face on campus or someplace off campus so you don't have to worry about parking. Or you meet virtually using something like Skype or Google Hangout or something like that. So meet with your classmates. There's also tutoring available to students. It's not to the same extent that it is for undergraduate students, and it's not for every class. But things like the Writing Center. The Writing Center offers the online writing lab, right? So they call it the OWL. And you can make a video tutoring appointment with a Writing Center tutor. So you register with Writing Center, so it's writingcenter.gmu.edu, and then they've got multiple different kinds of appointments. So some are here on campus at Robinson Hall. Some are at Arlington, some are out at Science and Tech. And then they have virtual appointments in the online writing lab. They also do email appointments. So you schedule an appointment as if it was going to be face-to-face, and during that appointment time, so let's say it was today at 3 o'clock, you would email your paper to the tutor before 3 o'clock. And then at 3 o'clock, for 45 minutes, that tutor is going to write you feedback and then email it back to you. So that way you don't have to come to campus. And if you don't want to meet with them virtually online with the video, you can still get feedback on your paper. And so the Writing Center is one of the biggest tutoring resources that graduate students utilize. I'm trying to think about other tutoring. The Writing Center is the main place that does virtual tutoring on campus. There's other kinds of tutoring available. You know, there's statistics tutoring that does tend to happen face-to-face through the Vosgeno School of Engineering. Math Center tends to do more the lower level math stuff. So if you needed higher level math help, you probably want to go see your professor. Another online feature to get help with is the Ask a Librarian feature. So if you go to the library website, so it's library.gmu.edu, there's usually an Ask a Librarian button on the page. So if you can't come to campus to ask for help from the librarians, you just type in your question. I'm having trouble finding sources for this. Where could I look? And then that person will chat feature back to you and send you some information about what things you could do. I'm sure also there are subject librarians for each college. So if you wanted to talk with one of the subject librarians and it's hard to come face to face, I'm sure that they'd be happy to do a phone appointment with you if you had a hard time getting to campus. And then learning services. We also do virtual academic coaching. So for us, the first meeting has to be face-to-face because we're part of a counseling center, and so you have to sign a release of information, or you have to sign an informed consent, and there's other paperwork that has to be filled out and has to happen here. After that, though, I can meet with students online, and usually it's through Blackboard. So we can do a coaching appointment that's virtual if you'd like. So make connections. Just because you're not necessarily on campus all the time doesn't mean that there's not resources here to help. All right, and then another thing that they recommend is trying to monitor your progress. And what this has to do with is that to do an online class, you have to be a very strong self-directed learner. Because it's really easy to kind of drop off and be like, oh, I'm kind of behind in my class, it's not that big a deal, I'll catch up. And it kind of falls to the wayside. It happens a lot with online classes. So what you can do is to use what's called a study log. And on the study log, you keep track of what your goals are for the week. And so you write down like what you want to accomplish, what your goals are, the tasks that you're going to do in order to achieve that. And then after, what you do is you take a look, so that's like the planning stage. And then you've got the implementation stage where you're actually following the task plan that you've created. And then the last part is self-reflection. Did I do what I said I was going to do? What things are working? You know, oh, I said I was going to study in my bedroom for 2 hours. Okay, did that work? No, that didn't work. I need more time and I need to study not in my bedroom. And I maybe need some clearer tasks to complete. Okay, so you take time for reflection. Did I meet my goals? Did the strategies I try work? Do I understand the key points of the material that I'm learning? Do I know enough to answer questions correctly on the next assessment? So it's not just a matter of skimming when you're trying to do a blog post. Let me skim the reading and put an answer. Do I know it well enough I can just answer this off the top of my head? And what changes can I make to improve my performance? So I put together a study log. If you wanted to use a study log, you could, to track your performance. And so actually I do this a lot with face-to-face classes. We do it a little bit different way. So you see you've got a place where you can write the week at the top. And again, if you're online, I sent this out to you guys. You write the week. You say what goals you have for the week. 2 to 3 big, hairy goals, right? Big, hairy goals. Prepare for my presentation, get ready for an exam, whatever it is that you need to do. And then you would break that down into individual tasks. So study is too big. It's too amorphous. We want to be really specific about what we're going to do. So it might mean like read pages 150 to 200 in this textbook, or find and annotate 3 research articles for my paper. What I'm doing are trying to make those SMART tasks, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Right, so I'm saying what day I'm going to do it. I'm saying I'm going to do it on this date, and I'm going to do this specific task. On the study log, I also have a spot for where. Where am I going to do it, and how long am I going to work on it? The advantage of doing something like this is if you say what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, where, and how long, you are 8 times more likely to actually do it. So it's like saying, I'm going to study. Okay, when, where, what am I going to do? That's different than saying, I'm going to study every day from 9 until 11, and on Mondays, I'm going to review the videos. On Tuesdays, I'm going to do the reading. On Wednesdays, I'm going to do X, Y, or Z. Okay, being very, very, I'm going to find 3 sources. I'm going to do 10 practice problems. Okay, that is very specific, and we know did we accomplish it or not? And so that's what the last column here is for you to keep track of. Did I do it or did I not do it? Okay, so keep some kind of a log on whether or not you follow through on things. If you don't like to do your tasks on that way, or you've got a lot of classes, this would be like if you had 1 class and you just wanted to monitor 1 online class. this is what I usually end up doing with most folks, right? So you can do this in a planner. You can do this in online. So I'm handing out the daily preparation schedule. Daily preparation schedule is similar, but this is for multiple classes and for multiple tasks. So you can do the same thing, like Google Calendar, we set a recurring like 5 a.m. appointment that says tasks. And in the comments for each day, we write 2 to 3 tasks to do. Okay, so for this, 2 to 3 goals for the week. And then you prioritize and you say the most important thing for me to do today is X. The second most important thing is Y. The third is Z. Okay, so you want 2 to 3 tasks to do each day. That way you're not getting overwhelmed. If you have like 20 things on the to-do list and you only do 2 or 3, how do you feel? If I've got 20 things on the to-do list and I've only done 3 of them, how do you think I feel?
Feel a lot more lighter. I mean, to break it up into small tasks than to deal with the 20 things when it gets closer to deadline.
Yeah, so I might still have more than 20 things, but now I've spread them out over a week instead of just saying I've got 20 things to do and I gotta do it whenever. Okay, so if I have 20 things on my to-do list and I only do 3, I feel kind of crummy because I haven't finished everything. But if I take those 20 and I break them down and I spread them out over the week, oh, this doesn't feel so bad. Now there's a time piece to it and there's accountability and it's measurable. I can say, yes, I did or no, I didn't. So you can do the same thing in a paper planner. I just like to give people this so you can see what I'm verbally describing, right? Setting goals for the week, breaking your tasks down into little pieces. Okay? Questions about anything?
Do you have any material? I know the project, there's a separate workshop that's scheduled. I signed up for it. The problem is my projects are like due like a few weeks after that workshop. So I was trying to look online if maybe the material for that workshop I can use, or or I get like a song.
So there is a project management workshop, and it's kind of geared for folks who are doing like bigger like a thesis kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And I can give you the materials for that. One of the strategies was called using a Gantt chart, G-A-N-T-T, Gantt. And with the Gantt chart, you think about your project and you break it down into tasks. So similar to this. But you also think about what tasks do I have to do first and what could overlap with something else. So it's a little bit longer term. Probably for a smaller, is there a project in particular you've got in mind?
Yeah, so one of my class, it's a project that the project is, this is, like it's programming, right? So we're at the very initial part of programming. We haven't even mastered it yet. So the whole 50% of our grade is going to be programming something, we have to come up with that. And I thought we haven't got there yet, but I do see it on there. So I have to start working on it. How would I approach it? So the first thing is to pick a topic, and then when you pick a topic, you want to make sure you pick something that you're able to do. So all those things is like, okay, so it's over there. Some of the stuff I can only do it after I master all this. Yeah. But then.
Yeah, you gotta start thinking about it now. So for smaller things, what I do is I brainstorm, like you just said.
Yeah.
I brainstorm a list of tasks that are gonna need to get done, or things I need to do. I need to read the assignment. That's the first task. The second, I need to pick a topic. Third, I need to make sure I've mastered the skills that are gonna be needed for that.
Right.
Fourth, I'm gonna send it to my professor. Right? I'm gonna break it down into little tiny steps. I'm gonna make it in a list. I usually just do it on a piece of notebook paper. And then I look at the deadline and I work backwards from the deadline. And I give myself to due dates for each of those tasks. So I basically start at the bottom of my list and I go, well, if I'm going to turn this in on October 15th, that means that I need to get feedback by the 13th. So I have 2 days to revise the feedback. And I need to do this by the 10th of October, and I need to do this, which is nice because then when you work backwards, you realize, oh, I need to start on that project now. Even if I don't have everything together, there's a couple little things I can start doing right away. So that's usually what I do is I'll brainstorm that list of tasks, work backwards, and set interim due dates for myself. And it's not perfect, like things fall off, but it's much better than waiting until like a week before it's due, and then you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
to get this whole thing together. And the more you do it, the more better idea of the how the breakdown of tasks will go. Have they given you a model of how to plan out a programming assignment?
How to plan out, like, no. We're still learning. We're like at the very initial steps. We're learning functions, variables, you know. So the final product of our project is actually after we know everything, that's what we're gonna do. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of interesting topics that I wanted to bring into programming. But then I was like, I don't want to pick something that's gonna be, but then that's probably why she asked us to give her the topics, so she can tell us, no, you know, this is, I don't think you want to do that.
Yeah. So this
that's
is too
probably what it
big,
is,
or it's too small, or so she
Yeah,
knew these
you
two.
probably want to filter it out. That's why
Yeah.
the title is due.
So I'll give you an example of a Gantt chart when we're done, which will be in just like a minute, actually. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining us on live. Sorry we didn't get a chance to see you chatting or anything. I do have a evaluation that's online, and if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to fill it out. If you have your phone, you should be able to scan it, or I put the URL. So it's https://qrcode.de. I hope that written out link. I'm a little dyslexic, and so sometimes I mix up letters and numbers, but I think I typed it correctly. But if you have your phone, usually you should be able to take a picture, like aim your camera on it, and it'll say, do you want to browse the website? So if you wouldn't mind taking a minute to fill that out, and I'll get the And then I'm filling out certificates to folks who participated. So I'm gonna stop sharing, close this. And so thank you so much for, I'll turn and face the camera. Thank you so much for attending today. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. It'll probably take a couple days for it to render, and then I will send it to the folks in Grad Student Life to make it available on their website so you can review the information later. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.